Okay, good morning, everybody. How is everybody this morning? Okay, so I've got about 4 different, I could not get into the WebEx. You need a special code, I guess, to get into it. So I have 4 or 5 other sources here that I will be giving you the information who are in the courtroom. We're not going to be mentioning other channels or feeds or anything like that here. If you do that, my mods will mute and or block you. So anything that is being said in the courtroom, I will be hearing or seeing from other sources, and I will be putting that here for you guys. So, and the reason I don't want anything else from any other sources or channels or anything else mentioned here is I want to stick to the facts on this feed. So that's what we're going to be doing. So if anybody doesn't want to follow those rules, please exit now. Well, thank you, Kat. I want to say welcome to my niece, Gabby. She is in here. First time in here, so I want to welcome her in. My sister is on her way back from an appointment, so she will be in shortly. I have my other mods here. So please be respectful to my mods. CL. Okay, well, guess what? You're blocked. You want to call me a loser? Or call anybody or whoever you're talking to in here, if it's me or whatever. I'm going to ask my mods, please block this person. CLRL. Hello. There's my niece, everybody. So say hello to my niece. Okay, so let me get to this. Yeah, my mods are going to be all over that. And ask the mods, please watch for any rudeness like that person just did. CLRL, block them. Anybody that wants to be ruder like that to me or my mods or anybody else in chat, I don't put up with bullying or anything like that. So you want to be rude to me, my mods, or anybody else in my chat, any of my subscribers, you're gone. Yeah, sock puppets and trolls and whatever. So my mods will be all over this. Okay, so let me see what I got here for you guys. So the DA just gave Gannon's mom, Landon, a hug. She's also wearing a blue mask. So Letecia will be appearing over the WebEx, not in person. And they're about running just a little bit late here. But I will be giving you up to date as what is happening in the courtroom. There's a few reporters in there that I'm getting information from. And like I said, we're not going to mention any other feeds or anything else here, please. I don't want to have to boot and mute and everything else. My mods will be all over that. Yes, please put the blue hearts in the chat for G-Man, Gannon Stauch. Finally, Letecia is about to make an appearance for a preliminary hearing. She is only appearing by WebEx. I have tried to get into that, but it's blocked. So you have to have the code to get in. Both attorneys are in the courtroom. The doors have just opened for the reporters. Both of Gannon's parents are in the room. There's a lot of blue eyeshadow on the females who are wearing the blue eyeshadow for Gannon. Court is now in session. Okay, so the judge is now checking to see if Letecia can hear him. She asks her to raise her hand, and Letecia doesn't give any response. I'm not sure why they're having her by WebEx. It could be due to COVID. I know there's been some outbreaks. We're not sure. They may tell us here. I will watch for that. Just to let you guys know, I won't be able to keep an eye on chat a lot. Because I'm watching the feeds to see what is coming out. Okay, so she did raise her hand. The feeds could be behind a bit. So the judge is now going through rules in the courtroom. Landon is wearing a Sonic Hedgehog mask, blue nails, blue eyeshadow. Okay, so my sister is now here too. How many mods do I have, Des, in chat? I know I've got Cindy, I've got you. If I have to, I will pop over to, I'm on StreamYards, I will pop over to YouTube. I've got about, oh, Rosie's here too, great. Okay, so I think I got enough mods to keep this covered. Okay, thank you, Panda Berry. I will keep that in mind. Cindy, are you guys all right for modding, or do I need to add some more? I got Justice Janie in here too, so. Yep, there we go, mods. Okay, so Cindy, how many mods are in here right now? Because I can't see your blue wrenches. Can you just let me know how many mods are in here right now? Okay, great. If you guys need help, get Des to message me. Okay, you guys are fine? Okay. Because I'm going to be turning just to let my sister know too, I'm going to be, I can't read this long text that you just sent me, Des. I'm going to be turning this on to mute, so I will only get like a buzzing sound. Please only message me if it's something very important, because I can't watch 4 or 5 different feeds to give you information and watch my phone at the same time. Okay, you want slow chat on? Okay, let me go to YouTube so I can do the slow chat, and then we're going to get into this. Okay, just give me a sec, you guys. I gotta go in here. The mods have asked for me to put on slow chat. And if you guys have noticed, I do have the super chats available. I have put them back on. People were asking for them. So they are on. If anybody wishes, it's not required. But if you do wish to do a super chat, they are available. Okay. Okay, so I did put slow mode on, so if you guys are, there we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you to my sister. No, she's not representing herself. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to look at chat too much, you guys. I'm going to be giving you the rundown of what's happening in the courtroom. Okay, so the judge is saying no emotional outbursts. People who try to disrupt the process will be kicked out. Public viewing was initially going to be pushed to an overflow room, but now they're just hanging in the back. So Letecia didn't want to show up in court, so her attorneys tried to appear on her behalf. The DA asked she be here in person. Judge is mulling it over now. The motion was filed at 11 a.m. yesterday. Judge was mentioning something about needing 24 hours. He's now checking with Letecia as to why she made this choice. The judge says, you understand that even if you aren't here, the hearing will take place? She says, yes, sir. They will still present evidence. She said, yes, sir. Letecia says, I have confidence in my counsel. So she does not want to be present for this. Okay, so Judge Warner was saying they're going to submit evidence. Don't you want to hear that or see that? Letecia again says, I have faith in my attorneys. He's now explaining this meeting could change the bail situation in the case, which is very unlikely. She says she doesn't care. Yeah, she did want to represent herself at one time, you guys, but she's changed her mind on that for sure. So the judge says they will give her another chance to join in tomorrow, but for now, Letecia is out. She left the hallway. The DA is now saying he objects. Judge Warner says he hasn't made his decision on whether or not she can actually do that. So she's left. She refuses to take any part of this. She was on the WebEx and she left. She left. She's gone. But the DA is objecting to that. So the judge says he hasn't made a decision on whether she can just walk away like that. So the DA says Letecia is refusing to be transported, not because of COVID protocols, but simply because she doesn't want to come. He says he'll have a harder time proving his points without her being there. So the DA is objecting to this. gosh, you guys, I wish I could have got into that meeting. Yeah, she's okay. So now they're trying to get her to get back in front of at least the WebEx, and she's refusing. And you know, Panda Berry, I get what you're saying there, but they can't physically. The judge can't physically go and grab her. Like, he's probably in shock right now. I don't know if they can physically restrain her in front of the camera, but they can't. I don't know. I don't know how that works in the US. I know in Canada, if you refuse to go, it just goes on without you. Oh, it hasn't even started yet, Lori. Hasn't even started yet. And she's already up to her games. Okay, so the DA just said he believes her not showing up should be grounds to just move this to a trial and not even bother with this hearing today. That would be the first time I've seen that happen, but that would mean we wouldn't hear the details of the case until trial. The judge is going to have to make a decision on that. We'll see what he chooses, but they're now hearing from Mr. Tellini, who is Letecia Stauch's lawyer. Okay, so Tellini says he doesn't understand the argument from the DA that witnesses will not be able to point to Letecia if she isn't here. She's the same Letecia as she's always been. Huh. Wow. Crystal Dawn, it's not the judge saying that, it's the district attorney. And this is what I mean. Let's get the proper information. The judge has not said that. It was the DA that said. I'll read it again. The DA just said he believes her not showing up should be grounds to just move this to a trial and not even bother with this hearing. It's the DA that said that, not the judge. So please, let's not put out information that's not true. Says he still wants to go forward with the preliminary hearing. And this is from Tellini. The thing is, Crystal, with forcing her into the courtroom, all she's going to do is be disruptive, yelling, screaming, whatever she wants to pull. And she can do the same in front of the WebEx camera, keeping her in that room. She could just cause a big distraction and keep this from going forward anyway. So let's see what the judge is going to decide here. I don't want to make any assumptions or put anything out there that's not fact. So the judge says he believes Letecia has waived her appearance, but in this case, he wants the proceedings to go forward, but just not be here for it. Sounds like he's leaning towards keeping the preliminary going even without her there. So don't forget, you guys, this isn't a trial yet. This is just the preliminary hearing. We went through this with the Barry Morphew preliminary hearing. Everybody was jumping on it like, why don't they do this? And why don't they do that? And this and that. And they haven't presented enough. This is a preliminary hearing. There's a very low standard here in what the DA has to present to have her bound over for trial. All the nitty gritty and everything else and the arguing and the forcing of stuff is all going to come out in a trial. This is just a preliminary hearing. So she doesn't want to be present. Apparently, from what I'm hearing, it's the same as in Canada. They will just go ahead without her. If she's waived her right to appearance. Okay, the judge said, she is represented by counsel here and clearly said she did not want to waive the hearing itself, so we will keep the preliminary hearing going. The DA, he asked the DA if he's ready. He says yes, also calls his first witness. So this is going ahead without Letecia being present. I get it, Tammy, but they can't force her to be there. If she's waived her right to appearance, they can't force her to be there. This is a preliminary hearing. It's not a trial. I just want to make that clear. They are going ahead with this preliminary hearing anyway. So whether she's there or not, there's also chatter about if Letecia would be waiving her preliminary for her other charges. The attorneys are going to chat about that today or tomorrow, but now on to the first witness. So the DA, Michael Allen, had asked the judge just to move this process along because with the lack of Letecia Stauch present, that she should go ahead and enter a not guilty plea. He wants the case to get to trial, saying she has no right to this proof evident presumption grade hearing. But the judge is going ahead. She showed up briefly on the WebEx, turned around and left. So the judge has said that this is going to go ahead. Even though the DA did not want it to go ahead, just to enter a plea and just send her right to trial. So she is going ahead and they're calling the first witness. Jason Yoder is the first witness. Judge is swearing him in. So the DA passes Yoder a big old binder of photos of evidence. Yoder is from Santa Rosa County, Florida, Sergeant of Major Crimes Unit with Santa Rosa Sheriff's Office. Earthkeeper, I know that Harley is on the list for witnesses for this. If they call her or not, we don't know. And she's also on the witness list for the trial. So whether they call her or not, we will only know once it happens. But she is on the list to be called as a witness. Okay, so the witness that's on the stand is he's a sergeant of the Major Crimes Unit in Santa Rosa. That's in Florida, Santa Rosa County in Florida. So he got a call from bridge workers for discovery of a body under a bridge. That was Gannon. Body inside of a suitcase. Body was emptied before they got there by the Department of Transportation. So from what I'm getting here is when the Department of Transportation seen the suitcase, I guess they went over and opened it up, and out came Gannon's body. So that was done before the police even got there. So, and this was on March 17th, 2020. Macon Ponder is who found the suitcase. He's from the Department of Transportation. They were looking at the west side of the bridge, walking under it. He and his partner found the suitcase, drug it out, opened it, dumped it out, found the body. Al Stout is staring directly ahead. Things start right off the bat with rough details. So Yoder now says the body was wrapped in blankets when he got there. It appeared to be that of a small child. Don't mind me, you guys. I'm bouncing around between feeds here. Okay, so Yoder is clarifying that part of this area is not in Yoder's jurisdiction. Lots of east of the bridge, west of the bridge. There's a lot of talk about being east or west of the bridge. Seems like the DA is trying to say which side of the bridge would indicate which direction someone would be driving. Okay, so Yoder says the suitcase would be on the eastbound lanes going away from Pensacola. Yoder says there is an emergency pull-off area near where the suitcase was found. The DA says, if you looked right down from the bridge, would it be where the suitcase was found? Yoder says, yes, sir. Would that indicate it was dropped? Yoder indicated, yes, sir. Yoder says they could tell it was a male child based on the clothing, figured they were between 9 and 13 years old. Medical team came and removed the body for an autopsy. They also checked local records for missing kids, nothing statewide, but national. So Tammy says she's in the area. It's a split bridge. Yeah, I seen that on the Google Earth. So she could have just pulled up there and thinking that there was water underneath and just dropped it. That's what I think. Okay, so they were checking records statewide. There was nothing, and so they checked nationally. A flyer was brought to Yoder's attention of a missing Colorado child. That flyer was for Gannon. The DA asks if it's unusual for a body to be found from another state. Mr. Tellini objects. Judge overrules. No, sir, that is not normal. Tellini says he then contacted the sheriff. Lisa, we're probably going to get into all that. We're just going to have to wait and see what comes out in this preliminary hearing. Right now, they are only talking about finding Gannon. Thank you, sis, for that super chat. They're only talking right now about finding Gannon. So they will get into specifics. Don't you worry. Let's have some patience. It just started. Wakey, we don't know that yet, so let's not put that out there yet. We don't know if she drove Gannon there. That has not been proven yet. That has not even come out in evidence yet. They haven't said who drove him there yet. So let's not put any information out there that is not fact. I only want to put out information that is coming out in this preliminary. So no, we do not have that information yet, who drove him there. It will come out probably in this preliminary hearing, but let's not put out information that is not fact. So they're saying the body was severely decomposed, said the body was in a fetal position. There were efforts to take the blankets off the body to clean it. He was asked if he could see injuries. He said yes. A fractured skull, gunshot to the jaw, sharp force injuries to the chest and back. There were a few cuts on his arm and a few on his hands. So now we just got what the injuries were. He had a fractured skull, a gunshot to the jaw, sharp force injuries to his chest and back, and there were some cuts on his arms and his hands. So the cuts to me, you guys, on his arms and his hands seem like defensive wounds to me. I haven't seen the photos, nor do I want to, but to me that signifies defensive wounds. Who is testifying right now? This is a sergeant from, let me just go back here. It's Sergeant Yoder, and he is from the Major Crimes Unit in Santa Rosa County in Florida. Thank you, Daz, my sister. And thank you for that. And I'm sorry, you guys, for anybody that thinks that that is going overboard, but I am. I am responsible for anything that comes out on my channel. So that's why I got rid of a lot of the monetization and everything too, because I don't need strikes against me. I don't need warnings. I don't need any of that. So I have brought, a lot of you have wanted the super chats being brought back. I have added the monetization back to my channel, but I am not going to put up with any of that. I don't want to be held responsible for things that are being put out there that aren't fact. I want this all to be fact. So you guys are getting the right information. I won't hesitate to remove it again if things get out of hand, because I don't need any strikes against my channel. So if it continues, I'm just going to remove the monetization again. And I know a lot of yous have been wanting the super chats and that back. So please give me that respect, please. Okay. Would that be consistent with defensive injuries? Yes, sir. That's horrible. So like I just said, this just was sent out. The DA was asking if that would be consistent with defensive injuries, and the sergeant fodder says yes. So he was fighting back. Al has red eyes at this point. The room is silent except for typing and the speaking. The autopsy will specifically detail how many stab wounds. The lower left jaw is where he was shot, according to the autopsy, and found 2 red pieces also. Yoder is explaining how they found projectiles in some of the pillows and blankets, also found in the suitcase. All were sent to the sheriff's office. So there were projectiles found in some pillows and blankets. That has to be from the house or in with Gannon himself. People's Exhibit 1, this looks like the flyer that was brought to Yoder's attention trying to identify Gannon. So that's the first exhibit. Juju positive? No. And it's prohibited from being live streamed. That's why I'm not live streaming. That's why I couldn't get into the Zoom. Okay, exhibits are being shown on the monitors around the courtroom. First up is a flyer that many of us have seen where there was the 4 photos of Gannon. Yoder says, we first thought it was him because of the gap in his teeth and 2 large front teeth. Now on to exhibits 2 to 8. They aren't on the monitors. Those are photos depicting the scene under the Gambia River Bridge. The sergeant says, yes, sir. The exhibits are admitted as evidence. Oh gosh, you guys. I'm glad that now I can't see this because they're now seeing on all the monitors, they're now seeing the suitcase open under the bridge. Gannon's parents are bent over in their pew. A few folks are crying behind them. Des, check your messages, please. So you guys, I'm glad in a way that I couldn't get into this WebEx or Zoom or whatever it is because I wouldn't be able to continue with you guys. Like, this is bad enough reading it. And this may be one of the first times that they are, again, Landon and Al are probably seeing these photos. The DA asked Yoder how you get across to this side of the bridge. Yoder says it would be really hard to cross over the river from the other side. He's trying to illustrate which side of the road someone would have had to been on to dump the suitcase there. Okay, so Yoder says this is a frequently traveled bridge for people in the state or driving through. So it looks like, you guys, this was like a thoroughfare. I mean, I've seen pictures of it from Google Earth, and it does look like a fairly large bridge, and there is water under it at some parts. But I think at this time of the year, from what information had came out before, is that at this time of the year, the water levels weren't high enough to be where she dropped the suitcase. So Yoder is now pointing to the photo to highlight where the suitcase is, the body is, and the impression was where they believe the suitcase landed. So the DA is asking, what's the distance between where the suitcase is and the impression is? He said 6 to 8 feet. So the impression is where, if it was thrown, dropped, however it got there, we haven't found that out yet, but however it got there, there was an impression made, and then the suitcase was found 6 to 8 feet away from where the first impression was. So I'm assuming that it was tossed over the bridge. So where it landed, where it first hit, and then where it landed was 6 to 8 feet away. Mr. Ponder dragged it out of the weeds. Mr. Ponder was the guy who worked for the transportation department. Okay, so up on the monitors now is the first close-up photo of Gannon wrapped in blankets laying next to the suitcase. You can see his hairline peeking out. The family's bent over silent and no longer watching the monitors. I'm so glad, you guys, now. And God works in mysterious ways, you guys. I'm ready to throw up right now. I am so glad that I could not get into this and see this. Good Lord works in mysterious ways. Thank you, Lord, for not letting me get into that meeting. Oh, I couldn't have, you guys. I wouldn't be able to continue today, because once I seen anything like that, I would not be able to. Okay, so the next photo being shown is a photo of the suitcase impression, basically a dent in the grass. The next picture is a pillow with blue sharks on it. Yoder says he found projectiles in that pillow. The next one is the photo of the blankets found in the suitcase. And 7 is the other side of the blanket. It's the same blue shark pattern. Another photo, the next photo is another blanket. This one is red and blue. The DA confirms that they sent all of that to the sheriff's office. And now Mr. Tolini is up to cross-examine. So now Letecia's lawyer is going to cross-examine the sergeant from the Major Crimes Unit. Now, just to be clear, so you guys know, Tolini is Letecia's lawyer. Fodder is the sergeant of Major Crimes. There's also blood stains on all of, I'm going to another feed right now so I can see if there was more information that was given out. The photos of the pillow with the blue sharks and a matching shark comforter with 2 blankets were shown. And there's also blood stains on all of those items. The defense is now cross-examining Sergeant Yoder. Tolini is asking him how far from the ground the bridge. He said 80 to 100 feet. The suitcase had made an impression on the ground. And Tolini is asking Yoder about Gannon's injuries. Mr. Tolini is asking about the lacerations on Gannon's hands. Yoder says, I don't remember them to be all that deep. Other cuts, how deep were those? He says he doesn't remember. Tolini said, did she say it would have been enough to be fatal? Tolini said, had it as a contributing factor, but not the most. 1 bullet was recovered from inside Gannon's body and 2 from inside that blue shark pillow. Yoder says he saw 2 holes in the pillow, no exit holes. Yoder says the doctor doing the autopsy says the gunshot was enough to be fatal. Yoder says yes. Tolini asks if the skull fracture could have been from the suitcase going over the bridge. Yoder says she did not say either way. So when Yoder is answering, she did not say either way, he's talking about the one who did the autopsy was a female. So I don't know, you guys, I haven't been able to watch chat. I've been checking all my feeds. So if you have given a super chat, thank you very much for that. I will be making a community post later on once this live is done. And I will thank each and every one of you in that post. Also, to let you know that there will be a separate feed that is going to be posted for the afternoon session. So once they do go on break for lunch, this feed will end and there will be a separate feed made for the afternoon session. I don't want you guys jumping back on this one and wondering why you can't see everything live. So there will be a separate feed put up for the afternoon session. So once this one is done, I will make that one public so you guys can set your reminders. So when I do go live again for the afternoon session, you will get the notification for it. Okay, so Talini's asking about the gunshot wound and asking if it showed the muzzle to the flesh. Talini, the sergeant says they did not see this, so that would indicate someone was close when they fired. No real details on how close the gun was fired, but it sounds like more than 18 inches. Otherwise, there would have been markings or burns from gunpowder. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Amari. Yes, it is very hard. It hasn't been mentioned if Harley is in the courtroom. Harley is going to be called as a witness, so I don't know if she is on the list to be called as a witness for the prelim, but they haven't said whether she is in the courtroom or not. Okay, so Talini is now finished, and there's a redirect now from the district attorney. He says, Yoder says, no clue on indication of which was the fatal cause, but that the fatal gunshot wound and fatal blow to the head are listed. So, which means either one of them could have been the fatal blow. It could have been the blow to the head or the gunshot wound that was fatal, or they're both fatal. Trying to clear up timelines of attacks, says they wouldn't be listed if they happened after he died. Yoder says the stage of decomposition was about a month when they found it. Yoder says the body was in the suitcase for a substantial amount of time. Body fluid leaked through the suitcase where the suitcase was. So Yoder is saying that the cause of death was a gunshot wound to the chin and blunt force trauma, and that the body had been in the suitcase for over a month based on the body's decomposition. And the crack in his skull, Sergeant Yoder could not say if that was before or after his death. And he didn't know if the gunshot wound was before or after Gannon had died. So, but the autopsy did show that the gunshot wound itself would have been fatal, just with the gunshot wound alone. So, and so would the blow to the head. So this was overkill. Sickening. So Kevin Clark is up next for the prosecution. He's witness number 2. Clark is working with the DA, focusing on Gannon Stauch. He was with CSP DPIO before this as a detective. So 9/24, so I'm thinking September 24 evidence will be admitted while talking with him. So Kevin Clark was with the Colorado Springs Police Department as a senior analyst. Now he works for the DA. He was requested to support the investigation on February 1st, 2020. He has experience with collecting cell phone data and GPS data. He was drafted for work with the EPC sheriff for this case, along with the FBI. He's an expert on everything technology, like GPS trackers and cell phone records. Letecia took off. She said she wants no part of it, and she left, Leah. So I'm just looking at chat right here. Yeah, Letecia refused to participate. Yes, you can donate either if you choose. It's not a requirement. I also have the super chats back available if that is easier for you guys. A lot of people commented and emailed me asking for them to be brought back, so I have brought back the super chats. Yeah, she doesn't have the guts to face anyone. Shout out to all the folks in the back. We see you. Yeah, she showed up for a few minutes on the Zoom and then took off, refusing to participate. So they had a little bit of a discussion. The DA wanted to go straight to trial, enter a not guilty plea and go straight to trial, but the judge says, no, we're going to go ahead with the preliminary without her presence. Okay, so he's talking about telematics. It's a system installed in a car giving locations and time records, dropping breadcrumbs, which can be retrieved later. The DA is setting up some of the things we saw in the leaked arrest affidavit report. We're seeing Exhibit 9 now. It's a map with arrows pointing in different directions. The DA says all of these exhibits will be maps minus a hotel receipt at the very end. Most of this was with telematics and some with GPS and cell phone records. Robin, we will probably be getting into that. It has not been brought up yet, so we're not going to discuss it yet. So the Volkswagen Tiguan, that's Letecia's car, the Tiguan. The map we're seeing is records from that car from January 28th, 2020. There's flags with some markers for Tuesday morning. Okay, you guys, just give me a second. I've got a delivery. Thank you. Sorry about that. No, that was Amazon. We order so much from Amazon, you guys. I think I made a post about this, that if they delivered a llama, I'd just say, okay, thanks. I don't remember what I order. I have an older gentleman that rents a room for me. He orders tons from there, so we never know what's coming. Okay, back to this, you guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so the flags with the time markers are for Tuesday morning. And the Tuesday is the January 28th, 2020. That's the day after Gannon went missing. Clark is now showing the court a car going to the DIA, the airport. Just give me a sec, you guys. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. Okay, so Clark is saying on the Tuesday morning, the red flags that they are seeing that are on this map, Clark says that these show Letecia Stauch's car going to the airport to pick up Al and returning home. I don't get that, you guys, because I thought she rented a car and picked up Al in a rental because she told Al she didn't want to put all these miles on it or something. So I'm not sure where they're going with this. If you guys remember, in the arrest affidavit, it said that she drove her car to the airport. She parked her car. She rented a car, which she picked up Al with. So I'm not sure what's going on here, but we're going to follow along, see what comes out. So at 8:13 a.m., a neighbor's home camera sees the car leave. You might remember there were stories about this during the search. Records show Letecia took Powers to the Colorado Springs airport, not DIA. I'm not sure who Powers is. I don't get what's being said here. I'm going to go to another feed and see if we can make sense of this. Okay, so the map is showing, this is what I'm getting from another feed, you guys. A map of Letecia's VW Tiguan car telematics on the morning of Tuesday, January 28th is being shown. There are blue arrows showing the direction she allegedly traveled. This day is the day after Gannon was reported as a runaway. At 8:13 a.m., Letecia left home and is seen on a Ring doorbell video. She was leaving home to pick up Al Stauch at 8:28 a.m. at the Colorado Springs airport, who was out of state when Gannon was reported missing. Okay, so Clark says AT&T towers can back up this route was taken, same as the car. So now they're talking about, I guess, her cell phone. 10 minutes after the car was parked, Letecia is seen going alone into the Avis car rental location. Earlier that morning, she searched cheap rental cars and rented a car for $36 a day. She gets a Kia Rio and picks up Al and they drive home. They leave the first car at the airport that day. The Rio is then seen getting home. So that clears that up. I think there was a mistype there or something. Okay, so Powers, okay. Yeah, I think it was a mistype. It sounded like she was taking somebody, so it's saying that that's the road that she took. Records show Letecia took Powers Road to the Colorado Springs airport. So then she parks the Tiguan, rents a Kia Rio, and picks up Al in the Kia Rio. They drive home. They leave the first car at the airport that day. The Rio then is seen getting home. Okay, so there's a new map. It's being entered as Exhibit 10. This is from the same day, Tuesday the 28th, from 7 p.m. to 7:27 p.m. The Volkswagen Tiguan, the first car, is where they are getting the data. So they believe Letecia picks up the car at 7 p.m. on the 28th. Okay, so the map is showing travel from the Colorado Springs airport to the Falcon area. Again, the cell phone records match with the car. Those records show messages to her daughter Harley, Al, and a few web searches. So the DA asks, is it common people have their cell on them all the time? Clark says yes. There's Emma. Hi, Emma. Congratulations on hitting 20,000. If you guys haven't checked out Crime Stories Obsessed, head over there and give her a subscribe and like. That's not true. That's not the date that the death penalty was taken away. I believe it was taken away in the summer of 2020. I don't know. I don't think that's true. It wasn't January. I know that. Thank you, Kay Amari. You're very welcome, Emma. Okay, so the DA asked, was this later used to search specific areas? Clark says yes. Says Letecia Stauch stopped in a parking lot for around 30 minutes near Woodman and McLaughlin Road. They searched dumpsters and video around there for a while. Also says her phone was put in airplane mode. We heard about this airplane mode with the Barry Morphew case. Her phone was put into airplane mode in the Falcon area. That cuts ties with cell phone networks. Only Wi-Fi connections would connect from that point on. Yes, Rosie, that's why I said I don't like that information's being put in here that is not true. So I believe it was in 2020 that Colorado did out with the death penalty, not January 2021, as was stated in the chat. So her phone's put into airplane mode. And this is after she picks up her car. She goes back to the airport, picks up her car between 7 and 7:30 p.m. Al's at home. Harley is wherever. That will come out later. She's in a parking lot she drives from the airport she's back in the Tiguan. So she gives the rental back. She's back in her Tiguan. She leaves the airport between 7 and 7:30 p.m. on the 28th, which is the day after Gannon went missing. From there, she goes to a parking lot where she's there for about 30 minutes. From there, she leaves and goes to the Falcon area where her phone is put into airplane mode. So between 7:56 and 8:08 p.m. on the 28th, they believe she went west on Woodman. They no longer have cell phone records, only car data. She stops for 10 minutes in a parking lot at Rangewood and Woodman, but nothing is found by detectives at that spot. So the next map is at 8:18 p.m. She is west on Woodman. 8:23, she is northbound on I-25. At 8:34, she gets onto Highway 105 near Monument. Crime Curious. Yeah, so there are going to be things, you guys, that they didn't, like in the preliminary hearing and in the arrest affidavit, they don't have to put everything they have. They just have to put enough, number one, for the arrest affidavit to get an arrest. And then number two, for the preliminary hearing, all they have to do is give enough to have her bound over for trial. So yes, there may be some things that we didn't hear before that are going to be brought out. Okay, so the next map, she is eastbound on Highway 105, then doubles back westward. Still no cell data, but there's car data. So don't forget, she put her cell phone into airplane mode, but the car data is still showing her and her movements. So going eastbound on 105, then doubles back westward on 105, which is odd. Yeah, so at 7:30 p.m., there was data from the Tiguan telematics that put her in the Falcon area around 7:30 p.m. on the 28th. That was the day after Gannon went missing. And they're going to be focusing on the telematics because she put her phone into airplane mode. Okay, so the next map is from 8:46 to 8:57 p.m. She passes Lake Woodmore Drive, then goes back and goes into the neighborhood. Asked if they found evidence there. The officer says no. Love you too, Justice Janie. Thank you for stopping in. I'm also going to, when they break for lunch on the morning session here, when they do break for lunch, this feed will stop and I will start another feed for the afternoon session. As soon as this one's done, I will make that public so you guys can click on the reminder bell so you're made aware when the afternoon session comes back. Okay, so 8:57 to 9:07 p.m. There's arrows going all over the place on this one. So this means that she's just going haywire, just driving around everywhere. Letecia driving all over the neighborhood, eventually exiting the neighborhood after 15 minutes. They believe that it's clear that they are inferring she is looking for a spot to drop the body. So at this point, they are believing that Gannon is in the trunk of the Tiguan. So which means she reports Gannon missing at 6 p.m. on the 27th. Right? So around 6, 7 o'clock on the 27th, she says he's gone missing. The police show up at around 10. They briefly look around the house, whatever, and they put out a missing persons for him. She calls Al, says that Gannon never came home. He's missing. Al books the next flight back because he was gone. He was deployed somewhere. So all during this time, Gannon is in this suitcase in the back of her car. That's in the garage. The police missed it. That body stayed in that suitcase all night until she got up the next morning and drove that Tiguan to the airport where she left it and got a rental. Gannon's body remained in the Tiguan all that day at the airport until she came back at 7 o'clock that night, which is the next day. She picks up Al at 8 something in the morning after she got the rental. They go back to the house. Poor Gannon's body is in that Tiguan at the airport still. Around 7 that night, she goes back to the airport with the rental and gets her Tiguan with Gannon's body in it and is now looking for somewhere to dump his body. This is what they are getting at. Okay, so from 9:07, the next map is 9:07 to 9:19. She merges into I-25 going north, goes on County Line Road exit where it meets with 105, going northbound on 105. and the northmost point was captured at 9:19 p.m. So this is the day after. She's got Gannon's body in the back. That's where we had a lot of search crews with the snow sifting, if you remember. They are now in Douglas County. The next map is 9:19 to 9:29. There's a red X on this map, the same corner where they were searching with snow sifters. And it's pretty rural. It's dark and rural. Thank you, Hazelnut. Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. So this map that they are showing has the big X. That's where I believe, found. I'm going to wait for it to come out because I know there was things found. I want to wait until this comes out in court to say it in case they're not going to bring it up, because it may not be relevant anymore. So I don't want to bring it up yet. Let's see what they say. But I do know that there was something found there. I know exactly what was apparently found there, but I don't want to mention it yet until it's mentioned in court, obviously. Okay, so there's a big red X. Now, this is where, if you guys remember, there was many different news crews and everything covering this area where police went to, and they were digging with snow shovels and sifting through snow and everything. So Clark says, analyzing the timestamps, it took Letecia more time to get around the corner going north instead of south, maybe 5 or 6 minutes. So either she took 6 minutes to turn around or she stopped somewhere. So the point that they are getting to, you guys, is that when she left that airport, she went to different spots and drove around. That's why we got her going in all these different directions. She's looking for a place to dump Gannon's body. Okay. So at 9:19 p.m. is the most northern point, they're saying, in that she went to, and that's in Douglas County. And that's the day after she reported Gannon missing. So her daughter and her husband are sitting at home. I don't know what she said to get out of the house, but she did. She went and got her car, the Tiguan, and now she's driving all over the place trying to, get rid of Gannon's body, right? So the area that they got evidence from is just north of Palmer Lake in Douglas County. Okay, so the new map from 9:19 to 9:47 shows the car leaving the Palmer Lake area, merging onto I-25 that exits onto Barrigate. Her phone was on airplane mode for 2 hours, but pops back on. So she takes it out of airplane mode at 9:51 at a Hilton Inn, then connects to the Starbucks at Briargate for an hour. She's still on airplane mode, but she's connected to Wi-Fi, so she's getting texts, emails, voicemails, etc. The DA asks if you would have to manually connect to these locations. Clark says he can't prove she didn't auto-connect, but knows she did connect. So her phone is still in airplane mode, but it does pop back on to give information because she now connected to a Wi-Fi. So even though she's on airplane mode, her phone connecting to this Wi-Fi gives them the ability to get all that information. So Clark says she's talking with her daughter Harley during that hour at Starbucks. She was 17 at the time and lived in the house. Moving on to the next map, no mention of what those messages are. So they're not sure if she manually connected or if it was an auto connect. So if she had been, say, even whenever, months before this happened, if she was ever at that Starbucks and connected to their Wi-Fi and saved their Wi-Fi connection, anytime she would go to that Starbucks or get near that Starbucks, her phone would automatically connect to their Wi-Fi. Okay, so being that she was in airplane mode, her phone probably automatically connected, or she manually connected it. And Clark says he can't prove which happened, if she automatically connected or connected this herself. But she was talking. She was there for an hour at that Starbucks, and she talked to Harley during that time. Thank you, sis. Okay, so more movement. 11 p.m. She goes down Garden of the Gods Road. And she's doubling back a lot of the times, but she ends up at Carefree and Powers at Massage Envy, where Harley was working at the time at 11 p.m. Okay, so apparently Harley was working at a massage place. It's called Massage Envy. But that's where she ended up, and it's at Carefree and Powers, and that's at 11 o'clock at night. So Harley's not at home. So Al's at home by himself. Harley's at work. So she goes to meet Harley at work at 11 p.m. at Carefree and Powers at the some business called Massage Envy, and that's where Harley was working. Wow. Okay, Clark is saying Letecia was looking up info on Amber Alerts and Ring doorbells during this time. The last data point for the car is 11:30 p.m. at Massage Envy. Stauch's phone then connects to a Holiday Inn Wi-Fi network. So she had to have left her car because the last data point for the car is at Massage Envy. So right now, from what I'm getting from this, is Letecia gets out of her car, leaves her car at Massage Envy, jumps in with Harley, and they go to a Holiday Inn because Letecia's phone now connects to a Holiday Inn Wi-Fi network. Clark says Harley's phone data says she was at home, but travels to the Massage Envy to pick up Stauch. She drives a Jetta, and they get home at around 1:23 a.m. So I guess okay, so let me correct myself. You guys know if I'm wrong, I correct myself. When Letecia leaves at around 11 p.m. and she's going around the Garden of the Gods, and then she doubles back and all this, but she ends up at Carefree and Powers at Massage Envy. That's where Harley works, but Harley wasn't working at the time. But that's where apparently Letecia went, called Harley from there, and told Harley to come and get her from there, because it's saying that Harley's phone data says she was at home, but then travels to Massage Envy to pick up Stout. And then she drives a Jetta, and they get home at around 1:23 in the morning. Got it now. Hope you guys are following around. Because Letecia's car data doesn't move after 11:30 from Massage Envy, 11:30 at night. And Stauch's phone then connects to a Holiday Inn Wi-Fi. Why? We don't know. But then Harley's driving the Jetta home, and they get home around 1:23 in the morning. At this point, Lynn, Al is still thinking he is just missing. Okay, so the new map is from a Nissan GPS tracker. I believe the Nissan is Al's truck. Wednesday morning, Harley took Letecia to her car. So this is on the 29th, the morning of the 29th. Okay, so let me put this all together for you. So the next morning, Harley took Letecia to go and get her car at this massage parlor place. And I believe that the only reason they went and got her car was because the sheriff said that they want her car and her phone. Because later that day, the sheriffs took the Tiguan and took Letecia's phone. So if you remember, she was called in. They called her in there to talk to them. Okay, the Nissan Altima is what they are talking about. That is a rental that her family rented. I thought it was Al's truck, but it's not. It's a Nissan Altima is rented by her family, who are all flying in from the airport. Letecia has access to that car. It's also the car that when the news reporter Spencer Wilson was talking to her, that's the car that she was driving with all her family in tow there. She was driving this Nissan Altima that her family rented for her. Okay, so we're taking a break. Court is now taking a break. Let me see how long they're going to be. Okay, we're taking a 15-minute break. Thank you, Daz. Hey, sis, can you please confirm that these prelim feeds will stay public on your channel to be rewatched? Yes. Yes, they will. The night that we are talking about is the 29th of January. Harley takes Letecia to go and get her car from the massage place, and her family rents a Nissan Altima. Her family is flying into the airport, so they rent this Nissan Altima, but Letecia has access to that car. Um, that's where we have broke. So court is on a 15-minute recess. I am going to take a short little break here, you guys, and we will be back in 15 minutes, which is 12:40 my time, Eastern. Okay, so just before I leave, I'm just checking other feeds. So by January 31st, the family had rented a car because the police took Leticia's car and phone, and they were taken into evidence, the Tiguan and Leticia's phone. So by Friday, January 31st, a family member had rented a car, and investigators put a GPS tracker on the rental car. Investigators were watching her whereabouts. So we will be back after this break. I will be back at 12:40 to continue this with you guys. I'm going to put it on mute, and I will be back. Hello, everybody. I am back. Let me just check and see if Court is back yet. Court is not back yet. Let me just check some of the other feeds. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for your super sticker. I appreciate it. Robin, we haven't got to that yet. We're waiting for them. Crime and Justice, we don't know that yet either. We're going to be waiting for all the information to come out. And just to let you guys know, this will probably be breaking for lunch, probably around 2 p.m. Eastern. When they go on the break for lunch, this feed will shut down. I will start a new feed for the afternoon session. Just so you guys don't think that I'm not covering the afternoon session, I am, but it will be in a totally new feed. I don't know if we're ever going to find out why Letecia did it. As we've seen this morning, Letecia doesn't even want to be part of this preliminary hearing. She's saying her lawyers can take care of it all. She doesn't want to be there. They had her in, she refused to get in the transportation van to bring her to the courthouse. So they put her in a room with a WebEx camera, and she even refused that, turned around, walked out of the room, and said she's not participating. So that's the information that we have regarding Letecia. Okay, so who is still here? Is Panda still here? Panda, are you still here? She may have gone and made a coffee to go make a coffee or something. Okay, so Court is back, you guys. This is Judge Werner for who? Tina. It's Judge Werner. Okay, so they're back. So far they've seen photos of the suitcase under the bridge. Thank you, Barb. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, so far they've seen photos of the suitcase under the bridge, a description of the injuries that Gannon had, and the location records from the day after he went missing, from Letecia's phone records and the car records. We are going to continue. Where did we leave off? Okay, we left off with the family. We're getting close to the end of January. By January 31st, the family, Letecia's family, rented a Nissan Altima, and family of hers was coming to Colorado. And Letecia had access to that car. That car actually was when she had, I don't know if you guys remember that interview that she had with Spencer Wilson, where she had her back to the camera at all times. she was driving that Nissan Altima at that time. Okay, so that's where we left off before the break. Now let's see what that Nissan Altima is going to have to do with this. We don't have any idea yet who drove Gannon's body to the Florida area. Nothing. Let's wait and see for that to come out in this preliminary hearing before we speak on it. All they know is that as so far what they presented is where he was found, what it looked like when it was found, injuries that were seen, etc. There's no indication yet who took him there. Let's wait until they get that and get to that point in the preliminary hearing. So then we have accurate information, because there's a lot of rumors flying around, you guys. And I really just want facts in here for you guys. Okay, so Officer Clark is back going over maps. The same Nissan she was driving and moving truck are seen paused at the park. Okay. And that's when Spencer Wilson was doing the interview with her. I guess they were parked near a park, both the moving truck and the Nissan. Letecia was said to have been driving the Nissan Altima. Don't forget that when law enforcement found out that that car was being rented by Letecia's family, they put a GPS tracker on it. Okay, so that's where we are right now. Let's wait for the information to come out, and let's see. This should be showing us, I think they are leading up to who could have thrown that suitcase there. But let's wait for it to come out, please, in the court documents here. So there's no question about when and where and who. I just don't want to be like some of those other channels that allow a lot of rumor and false truths. Let's hear it right from the court. Yeah, I wish she'd just plead guilty too. But no, she wants them to hear this. Like, it's like, haha, look what I've done. It's like she's sick. This is sick. Like, I'm having a hard time, you guys. My stomach is turning. I'm having a hard time with this. So now they are getting GPS tracking information from the rental. You're very welcome, Steffi. SG, you're very welcome to everybody. You're very, very welcome. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. Okay, the map shows from that interview with Spencer Wilson that she did. Okay, so when the moving truck and the Nissan are parked doing that interview with Spencer Wilson, when it leaves there, the map shows that Nissan heads back to the location near Palmer Lake around 4 p.m. that Friday, the same spot on the corner that GPS on the Tiguan had captured. It also captures it again there at 4:41 p.m. on the Friday. Okay, I've got to go to my maps. Oh my gosh, you guys. He's not giving a date here, so let me go back to so it would be the 31st. The Friday was the January 31st was the Friday. So on the Friday, the map shows she heads back to the location to Palmer Lake. That's after that interview with Spencer Wilson. And that was around 4 p.m. that she headed back that way. And The GPS captures her there at 4:41 p.m. too. Okay, so the DA is going over that all of the tracking data we're seeing now on these maps takes time to get a hold of. They didn't have this information right away. They're looking at a new map, a side-by-side map of her trip up past Monument on Tuesday and then again Friday. They're saying they aren't exact because the data points are measured differently, but they say that they show the same route and the same area. They're saying that there was like a first look on Friday, which was around 4 p.m., and then she goes back at 4:41 p.m. So I don't know if she was waiting for it to maybe get darker so she could retrieve that suitcase. I don't know. Let's see what the other feeds are saying. Okay, so the GPS tracker on Letecia Stauch Aunt's rental, which is the Nissan Altima, shows her car went back to the area in Douglas County after the interview with local TV station. The car was visible when Stauch was on camera. Investigator Clark said that there was a warrant on the rental, the Nissan Altima. Also, Letecia appeared on camera in an interview with Spencer Wilson on Friday, January 31st. So this is all from Friday. This is from, I guess, the GPS now on the Altima. Detectives would have had to look from Lake Spur to Palmer Lake, so it was just a drive-by at the time. With more data they got, they were able to focus on the S-curve where they had the red X earlier. So that red X was placed there for the night that Letecia went to the airport, picked up her car, and then went on a driving spree. And they found her up just past Palmer Lake. And she had been up there for a while and then turned around and came back and was picked up by Harley. And her car was left at the massage place. And Harley took her home, I guess, in her car. And then she was brought back to her Tiguan the next morning. And that's when she went into on the 29th. And then she went into the police station and the police took the Tiguan and her phone. So then her family rented her this Nissan Altima. Sorry for the cough. Now they are following where this Nissan Altima went, and it went to the same area that Letecia went with the Tiguan the day after Gannon had gone missing. So after she picked up her Tiguan again from the airport and went on that little hiatus that she went on. Okay, so here it is. This is what I didn't want to mention earlier, you guys, because I didn't know if it was actually rumor or true. And I wanted it to wait for it to come out in this preliminary, and here it is. Clark says they found a board there eventually, and they're going to bring that up by another witness. Okay, so that's the board that they found there with Gannon's DNA on it. Now, this area that they're talking to is just above Palmer Lake. This is the same place Letecia went the day after Gannon, the night after Gannon went missing. When she went back to the airport, got her Tiguan, and then went on that little hiatus. This is the area she went to that night before parking her car at the massage place and having Harley pick her up from there, and her leaving the Tiguan there. Harley brought her back the following morning, which would be the 30th, to pick up, or the 29th, to pick up the Tiguan from the massage place, and then that's when the cops took it. So when she went in on the 29th to speak to the police confiscated the Tiguan and her phone. So now she's driving this Nissan Altima that her family rented, her aunt rented for her. And she's back at that same area that she went to the day after Gannon went missing. So they know now that this area is a spot that they need to search. That's where they find a board with Gannon's blood on it. There's going to be another witness that is going to talk about that evidence. Oh. Oh. Okay. I'm going to show you guys this. I don't get it. I don't know how I'm going to show you this. Hang on. Okay, so this yellow line here shows a phone. Here's Colorado over here, and this phone traveled from there to, it was purchased in Trinidad apparently, or came from Trinidad. This phone traveled this way. The red line is the phone. The yellow line is the rental car. And that map was showing 2 trips across the country. The red line was the cell data from a phone bought in Trinidad, and the yellow was from the rental car. And they're both heading east. One drops down just past, I don't know what state is above Florida, but just past that, the red line drops down. That's the phone. And the yellow one continues across towards New York, up higher, Georgia. So it drops down just after passing through whatever that state is. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm from Canada, so I apologize. Whatever that state is right above Florida, once it drops down along the top of that state. I'm being told it's Georgia. Along the top of Georgia, that phone drops down into Georgia, into the following state, and then looks like it gets thrown out into the water. I'll show that to you again. So this red line here is the phone. This is the direction that phone traveled. And this is the direction of the Tiguan. So whatever is up here, I think this is New York. This is New York State. I know this is Jersey. And I know this is Maryland and Delaware. So is this North Carolina? But it's traveling that way towards Delaware and Maryland. But it goes up here and then down. And then the phone that was bought in Trinidad comes this way. It drops down here, and then it looks like it's thrown out or it takes off to the Bahamas or something. Okay, so that's the direction that these things were traveling in. And this was February 1st to 6th. So between February 1st and February 6th, it looks like possibly there was 2 trips. But the red cell phone line was from a phone bought in Trinidad. Let's see what's next here. Clark says Harley is traveling with Letecia in the van. Now asking about stops along the route, surveillance video, and credit card data, cell phone data. Toll roads and plate data are also included. The DA is detailing all the evidence they have. She made the trip. So February 4th, Letecia and Harley get to Pensacola and check into a hotel. Thank you, Get. Thank you so much for your donation. I very much appreciate that. Thank you so much. So what we're getting now is February 4th, Letecia and Harley get to a Pensacola and get into Pensacola and check into a hotel. Okay, for those of you who know the states and that, isn't that where the suitcase was found, was in Pensacola? Is that not where that suitcase was found? Somebody in chat, please tell me, because I don't have time to scroll back. Is that not where the suitcase was found, was in Pensacola? Okay, thank you, Tammy. Thank you, everybody, Lisa. Okay, so they now have Letecia. That wasn't in the arrest affidavit either. So now they have Letecia and her daughter in Pensacola. February 4th map, we're in Pensacola. She was at the Candlewood Suites Hotel. The map also includes the drop point of the suitcase and body at 4:15 a.m. Oh my gosh. So at 4:15 a.m., February 4th, is when they dropped him there. It's 3 miles from the hotel that they were staying at. So they've got her there now, you guys. Yes, I will do that for the mod. Let me just get a second, sis, to be able to, because I can't do it from StreamYard. So let me just get this caught up here with what we are getting. And then I will go over to YouTube so I can mod her. Okay. End of maps. We're looking at the Candlewood Suites receipt. Letecia's info and rewards membership is on that receipt. They made the reservation on February 3rd and checked in February 4th. So if they checked in on the 4th, that would mean it was like 4:14 in the morning. So between the 3rd, once you get to midnight, it becomes the 4th. So it was the 3rd, late that night into the early morning hours of the 4th, that they apparently have her dropping that suitcase at 4:14 or 4:15 a.m. After a short stay, they moved on to North Carolina. There's no cross-examination from Mr. Tellini, so they're moving on to the next witness. They're calling Patrick Youngkin to the stand. He's a sergeant. Youngkin is a patrol decision supervisor. He was working the day Gannon was reported missing. He was first on the scene at the home. So we're going back to Colorado. No, they have got Letecia at the drop where the suitcase was dropped. They placed Letecia there at 4:15 a.m. on February 4th. They also placed Letecia on February 4th at a motel room 3 miles from where Gannon's body was found. She reserved the room on February 3rd and she checked in on the 4th. Gannon's body was dropped. They've got her at 4:15 a.m. dropping the suitcase that held Gannon's body. From there, she left and went and checked into the motel. They didn't stay very long in the motel. They took off from there and carried on to North Carolina. Okay, so Youngkin says runaways are given a non-emergency priority level, and they had several other calls at the time. So, excuse me, he was third on the scene. 2 other deputies were there when he got there. They got permission, and he started searching the house for Gannon. Okay, let me just jump over to my YouTube so I can mod somebody here, please. Takes a little fan dangling here. Okay, I'm just trying to find her on here, Des, so I can mod her. I don't see her in. Oh, there she is. Okay, I've added Crime Curious. Can you type something, please, to the chat? Okay, there you go. You got your wrench. Thank you, Crime Curious, for coming and helping out my sister. She asked that I mod you. Okay, so I'm back to StreamYard, you guys. Okay, let me see what we got here. Okay, so he spoke with Letecia in the attached garage, and then again on the lower level of the house. There's body-worn camera. We might be watching that now. So he was in that garage, and meanwhile, Gannon was in a suitcase in her trunk in the car that was in that garage. Oh my gosh, guys. Okay, so now they are publishing the body cam of Youngkin talking to Letecia Stauch in the garage, and then in the lower level of the house, which would be the basement, where Gannon's bedroom was. Okay, and Youngkin apparently was the one who, Sergeant Patrick Youngkin, a Colorado sheriff, he's the one that searched the home for Gannon. Oops, somebody messed up. Okay, so this is what we are seeing on the body camera. He says, "Good day. The scene is dark at their front door. Letecia starts talking. I took the covers he was laying in. Daughters was out. Dog was out. Did he take his bike? No, unless he did it earlier. She's on camera talking about the bike, says someone, say him on his bike with a Nintendo Switch." The officer asks if he can look around, and she says, "Oh, sure." Okay, so Youngkin is now searching the rooms and closets with a light. Okay, so there's other conversations going on in the background. You hear her say his stomach hurt and he was going to a friend's house to play video games. Says Al is more free in these situations. So this is what can be picked up and heard on Youngkin's body cam as he's searching the rooms and the closets with a light, with a flashlight. She's also heard talking about the bike and someone saying he's on his bike and he took his Nintendo Switch with him. So you can hear Letecia talking with deputies in the background as another deputy is searching the home. She's explaining Gannon's typical movements in a day. Sorry, you guys, I had a cough. She said he was going to leave to go to a friend's house to play video games, but she didn't know the exact time he left. Okay, so Youngkin is still searching closets and rooms. You'll hear Letecia every once in a while talking to other officers in the background. She says something about the carpet downstairs. Did I bring my thing in here? Might be in here. Youngkin is in more closets searching. Okay, that is not true. He was not in a large zip storage bag. He was wrapped in a sheet and a blanket. That is rumor that somebody started putting around about him being in a large Ziploc storage bag. That's wrong. That's not true. They said how they found him. He was wrapped in a sheet and a comforter with a pillow. And that's why I say, you guys, let's not mention anything that was heard leading up to this because there was a lot of rumor put out there as fact. And that was one of the rumors. He was not found in a large Ziploc bag. He was found wrapped in a sheet, a comforter with a matching pillow with the sharks on them. It's okay, sis, but that's why I say I don't want. See, I even give my sister shit, you guys. But that's why I don't want stuff like that mentioned, because a lot of it is rumor. Okay, so Yunkin, he's looking at the car, and he said, did you have this car today? She went, yes, no, I didn't drive it today. She needed to get the ID out of it and got nervous. Yunkin opens the back of the car. I believe the suitcase is seen. He closes the back of the car. So he's seen that suitcase. Oh my God, you guys. It's okay, sis. But I'm just letting the subscribers know. I even called out my sister. Like, so I'm not picking on anyone in particular. But this is why I don't want things mentioned. Yes, the shark blankets were apparently what Al had stated to the police, and that's why I'm stating this, that they belong to Gannon. Okay, so let's get back to this, you guys. So the cop is looking at the car and asks Letecia, did you drive this? Did you have this car today? And she says, yes, then no, I didn't drive it today. She needed to get the ID for the car out of it, and she got nervous. But Yunkin opens the back of the car, and the suitcase, I believe the suitcase is seen, and then he closes the back of the car. He looks around the garage a bit more. This is inside, but you got to expect Yunkin feels horrible now with all this evidence, but at the time he didn't know. And he's continuing. He looks around the garage a bit more. And yes, a lot of my people are stating that they can't even fathom how Yunkin feels now, how horrible he feels now with all this evidence. But at the time, he didn't know. So a suitcase in the back of the car, like, whatever. Yunkin continues to search the house, in the basement. He's looking inside a storage room with the water heater and laundry baskets now, tons of cardboard boxes. Okay, so the DA passes the video. You're entering a room here. Which one? Yunkin says Gannon Stauch's room. This is just within hours, Rosie, of Gannon being murdered, that they are at the house. So we believe that he was murdered between the time they got home and the time she called police, right? Saying he was missing. So sometime on the 27th in the afternoon. This is around 10 o'clock at night that they are at his house. I don't think there would be much smell from his body yet. And he was wrapped in a sheet and a comforter. So anything that maybe would have started smelling, 4 or 5 hours later, it would have been masked by that and being in that suitcase, right? So now they're in, Yunkin is in Gannon Stauch's room. Okay, so he looks under the bed. There are two beds and a blue nightstand. Nerf gun behind one of the beds. He leaves the room. Um, I see a lot of people commenting about Harley, and I'm there with you, you guys. Um, it was days, like over a week, that he had been in that suitcase when they headed out towards where his body was found. And he was in that suitcase. So I'm kind of leaning towards there's no way that she couldn't have known. And don't forget, she was with her mother in that van and at the motel. The motel was 3 miles from where Gannon's body was found. Well, Rosie, don't forget, when the police were searching and they opened the back of the car, that was only about 5 hours after Gannon had been killed. 5, 6 hours. So I don't think there would have been much of a smell at that time. And don't forget, it was cold out then too, right? So the coldness would have helped preserve his body even longer. Okay, so Letecia brings him back in to talk about a box cutter. Says Gannon dropped a candle last night. She's trying to explain why there was a box cutter and says she covered up the candle with carpet, pulling it back to show. And I believe in one of, I don't know if it was the arrest affidavit or something else that had come out. There was spare carpet found in a closet, a storage closet. So I think she cut out a piece of carpet pretending that that's where a candle or something fell. So she would have reason to say, okay, that's what I had to do. Look at, but I think she was going to try and get rid of that carpet, but things happened too quick. Okay, so then she says Connor's mom come over. He hangs out with them all the time. A bunch of people come over. Yeah, they're in his room again. So they're back in. Just see here. So I guess they're back in Gannon's room. Letecia says he's not super mature, forgets things. They ask if he has a jacket with him, presumably to see if he would be cold. It's January. I'm very fashion. Stauch says when kids have all sorts of clothes. Yeah. These aren't making any sense. But anyway. Asked if she talked to the parents of his friend. She said, I don't talk to them. Al says yes. He says no. So it's up to Al, basically. Says that they've only been at that home for a year, just trying to make sure they tried all the neighbors. So I guess she was going to say something about her fashion because she says, I'm very fashion. And then she stops. And then she says, well, kids have all sorts of clothes. Okay, so she says Al has been checking in on the neighbors too. He took his switch with him, she said. Says in a picture of him taken by some woman online, according to Stout. Where was the picture taken? She said, I don't know. I have lots of messages on Facebook right now. So apparently Al was calling around to his friends from wherever he was. So apparently people were sending Letecia messages on Facebook with pictures. And she did say that he took his switch with him. Okay, so now they're going over a description of him. Hair, brown, brown, very pale. Deputies are now talking about whose house he might be at. She says Al got a weird text about bath salts. Says Gannon said he couldn't play Sonic at a friend's house. They just heard Harley over the body camera. And Harley, did you get it? And she says, yep. She thinks she was talking about the doorbell. Letecia says, we've had so many neighbors coming over. So I guess the doorbell rang and she asked Harley if she got it. And she said, yep. I'm just bouncing around here, you guys, to see if there's more information that's coming out anywhere else. Okay, so now apparently she's joking about being asked about tattoos and earrings on Gannon. We've already talked to a few people at school. There is a game there tonight, so maybe he went to a basketball game. She suggests that they call Al at this point in Oklahoma. She's talking a lot. Okay, so as far as medical, dental, he will have all that stuff. He takes him on base. Say they will give her a case number. Seems like it's wrapping up. So at this point, it looks like the police are getting ready to leave the house. So just give me 2 seconds, guys. I just got to take some of this cough medicine the doctors gave me because my throat is really starting to irritate me, and it's all the talking. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. Hopefully that is going to help. Okay, so after she says that to contact Al, she tells him that as far as the medical dental, he'll have all that stuff because he takes him on base for his medical appointments and dentist appointments. So they give her a case number and they leave. So that's the end of the video that they showed from the deputy's body cam. The DA is now asking Youngkin some questions, confirms the home is at the edge of the county. The DA is asking if he saw anything under the bed in Gannon's room. He says he was looking for Gannon but didn't see him. Asking about anything like blood obvious at this point. He said no. Any indication anything violent occurred? He said no. Okay, did you see something that would if you did see something, what would you have done? He said to lock down the house and call for backup. No indication anything violent happened in the garage. He answers no, explaining why he was stopping in the storage room. He was listening for a hidden kid. So at this point, they were looking for Gannon hiding. They weren't. If he would have pulled that bed out, if only he would have pulled that bed out, he would have seen the blood. She did wash down the walls in that, but if he would have pulled that bed out and looked behind it, he would have seen the blood, but he didn't. He was looking for a child hiding, is what he was looking for. Again, Youngkin says there was no obvious signs of violence. Now, Mr. Tellini is cross-examining. Okay, so now Mr. Tellini, which is Letecia's lawyer, is cross-examining the officer. Excuse me, Will Cook is up for Letecia Stauch. Will Cook is up for Letecia Stauch. He's another one of her lawyers and says her last name with a ouch, which I believe is incorrect. So he's calling her Letecia Stauch. Ouch. Stauch. I think it's Stauch. Stauch. I don't know. So she has two lawyers. She has Tellini and Will Cook. Interesting. So Will Cook is now questioning. He's clarifying that Letecia Stauch was mostly talking to a deputy Parker. Your only real involvement was the body-worn camera, correct? He said yes. He says he went back to help in the investigation 2 days later. Did you find a suitcase in the car? I did not know if there was a suitcase in the vehicle. I did use my flashlight to see in the car. You didn't see anything suspicious? He said no. Sorry, guys, I'm just bouncing around here to the different feeds I've got. Okay, so they're just going over, they're confirming he did not see the suitcase in the car on redirect from the DA. Video was very dark, so not clear if it was there or not. I could see a rectangular box back there. Oh, so he didn't use his flashlight to look in the car. So he doesn't know if there was a suitcase in there or not. But when they were showing his body cam video, you could see something that looked like a big black box of some sort, is what this person who's in the courtroom said. Okay, so when he came back 2 days later, he found a red liquid substance from the basement to the garage. Says the liquid was dry. Did not know what it was right then. So what he's saying here is when he came back 2 days later, I'm assuming that's when they got the search warrant. When they came back 2 days later, he found a red liquid substance from the basement to the garage. It says the liquid was dry, and at that point, they didn't know what it was. Okay, so the next witness is going to be Lieutenant John Sharkison. He ran command for the efforts to find Gannon. Okay, so another witness. See how fast they're getting through these witnesses, you guys, compared to the Barry Morphew? This is how it should be run. So on Sergeant Yukon says on January 29th, during the search warrant, they discovered a red liquid substance on the garage floor and on the stairs in the garage. The garage was dark, and Sergeant Yukon doesn't recall seeing the suitcase on January 27th. He didn't see anything suspicious. He said there was no indication of something violent had occurred. He went back to the home on January 29th. So even somebody else that is in court watching this said that when Letecia went in the house and they seen the body cam footage from the officer's body cam, they said that they seen what looks to be a suitcase in the trunk too on the cop's body cam. So there's other people that are seeing it on the police body cam. Okay, so Lieutenant John Sharkison was leading many of the searches for Gannon from January 31st to late February. Drones, four-wheelers, horses, prodding poles, K9s, any tools available they were using. At one point, Parks and Wildlife came out to use sonar. Saying how many resources have been used, including planes, horses, razor, 4x4, drones, dogs, snow poles, and Parks and Wildlife submarine device. I tweeted about that, about a yellow device back in the day. So I'm giving you from all the sources that I'm getting information coming out of the courtroom. I'm bringing it to you. So that is the reason why some of this may be repeating. Okay, explaining the uses of each is pretty self-explanatory. I can't talk today. He says they started the search near the home, then branched out from there, then to Fountain Creek, and finally Palmer Lake and South Perry Park Road. Some days 20 to 30 searchers, other days over 100, according to Lieutenant Shark. I'm going to call him Shark. Shark. They had to use prodding poles because the snow was too thick in the area north of Palmer Lake to search for Gannon. Started a search around the home, around Lorson Ranch, then went to Fountain Creek and north of Palmer Lake. Lieutenant Sharkson said they were getting information from Letecia Stauch's vehicle tracker data. So it wasn't long before they started getting tracker data. Okay. Because I was kind of wondering why they took off up to Fountain Creek and north of Palmer Lake so quickly. So they were getting vehicle tracker data back pretty quickly. Okay, let me go over here and see what's being said over here. Okay, so Sharkson says he didn't get the context for each search move. He was just there for coordinating resources. Says he was told there was car data that showed Letecia Stauch in Douglas County. and that it was odd it was up there in a remote area. So they started getting data back from the car pretty quickly, you guys. Would have been a lot faster than her cell phone data. So that's how they got information to go up there, was from her car data. And this is on, okay, where did I just see them dates? Over here, maybe. Hang on. Okay, so 27, 28, 29, 30. So this is 4 days later. They got that car data back. Or actually, no. They took her car on the 29th, and this search was on the 31st. So it only took a day and a half to get that car data to start coming in. Because they only confiscated her car on January 29th. Okay, so on Perry Park Road, I can't talk, oh my gosh, there's an S curve. And we've heard about that S curve. That's where the bloody board was found. And they focused their search one whole day there. The lieutenant is looking at exhibits now of the search area and a piece of plywood board and a closer picture of what was on the board. Okay, so they're talking about the different spots where they set up command posts. He's looking at exhibits 26 to 28 now. The first photograph is a photograph of the S curve we were talking about. The second is a plywood board. Third is what's on that plywood board, which we later found out was Gannon's blood. And the only reason I say that is because it is in the arrest affidavit. I've got another, okay. I've got another site that is also putting out information, so I'm bebopping now between all of them. So please forgive the clicking noise. That's what I'm doing. I am clicking between all the different open tabs I got here. So they're saying that it was odd that it was that her car was up in the remote area, and that was at that S curve. So that's why they decided to do a search there. My eyes are starting to go buggy. Okay, so there's photos up on the monitors now. The first photo is the curve that's being talked about on South Perry Park Road. Lots of parked cars. Okay, so the officer is saying the snow burn, what they call a snow burn, it's like a wall next to the road of snow, is about 7 to 8 feet tall. A dog alerted them to the area at that time. He checked the barbed wire fence, says they found animal fibers there, but he started to go from there. That's interesting. It's called a snow burn. Yes, both Landon and Al are in the courtroom. Sorry, you guys, I just seen that. Levon asked if his mom was in the courtroom. Yes, both Al and Landon are in the courtroom. So they're concentrating on these photos that are of that S curve and where the dogs started alerting them in that S curve. And as we know from the arrest affidavit, that's where they found that board with the blood on it. So they believe at one time that's where Gannon was hidden until whoever took him. We don't, oh, sorry about that, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. I took it off. Nisha, you can't see the hearing live anywhere. It's not being broadcast. Yes, Chihuahua, Letecia, and Al are both in the courtroom. Okay, so he says he found the board didn't appear to be moved at all because the snow wasn't broken. There's a photo that they're showing. It's kind of tough to see, but it looks like a board under a bunch of tree branches. The image is mostly branches, but you can make out that there is a board there. Says he was only looking for anything out of the usual. The third picture is the photo of the board with a stain on it. There's an artificial red circle around the middle of the photo, highlighting the dark stain, which he says is blood. Okay, so the FBI did a presumptive test to see if it was blood. First test said yes. They sent it off for more testing and confirmed it was blood, and Gannon's blood specifically. So now we know that at some point Gannon was in that area. And then we know where he was initially, his body was finally found, was out in Pensacola. So I think we're going to be getting to some information here where we're going to get timelines of when they think that body was taken from this site to Florida. So Mr. Tellini, who is Letecia's lawyer, is now cross-examining the witness. He asked the officer, what was the first time the dogs made an alert? The officer replies, not sure. How many dogs? Not sure. Depends on the day. If you report the board was found the 15th and they had dogs in the area for 2 weeks, the officer says, I'd have to look at the data. Okay, so a canine had alerted to an area next to the S curve near, on February 13th, near a berm, which was 7 to 8 feet tall. Lieutenant Larskin believed the plywood had blood on it. He tipped it up and put it back down. He said he barely moved it. The defense is asking if footprints were documented. So the lieutenant says he lifted the edge of the board and said, oh, that looks like blood, and set it right back down. Ideally, so Tellini says, ideally, you wouldn't have move it before taking a photo. And he says, true. Lieutenant says board was 2 feet by 2.5 feet, big enough to pull a body out. The officer says no idea. Tellini says, but not long enough to hold on each side with a body on top. Lieutenant answers, I guess. Well, thank you, LH, for your super sticker. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. So one of the reporters is saying, I'm not trying to make these guys sound standoffish, but they're just professional sounding type, just makes them sound short. So I guess when the lieutenant said the board was like 2 feet by 2.5 feet, Tellini says, big enough to pull a body out? Lieutenant said, no idea. So Tellini says, but not long enough to hold on each side with a body on top? It's just the way it's worded out here. It sounds like they're fighting. And the lieutenant says, I guess. Okay, so Tellini says, besides blood, any ties to the Stauch home? The lieutenant says, not that I'm aware of. He confirms that the sheriff's department was leading the investigation, not the FBI. And that's it for Letecia's lawyers. They're going back to the DA for redirect. The DA says it snowed several times, right? And he says yes. Okay, so everybody, we are now on break until 1:20 Colorado time. So that will be 3:20 Eastern. So this thread here will be closed down. This is the morning session. I will be, as soon as I stop this session, you guys, I will be making the afternoon session thumbnail available so you guys can head over there and click the bell so you're notified when we start back up. But they are now on break until 3:20 Eastern, 1:20 p.m. Colorado time. So there will be another link for the afternoon session. This one is going to end, and we will be starting in a new feed for the afternoon. So with that, you guys, I am going to let you guys all go, grab some lunch, get some dinner made, depending on the time zone that you're in. I have to get something thrown in the oven for dinner because I will probably be going till 7 or 8 p.m. my time. And Mama's next door is going to want to eat. So I've got to heat up some stuff. I made nachos, so I'll have to be heating that up and get stuff ready for tonight for dinner so I don't have to stop my coverage to you guys. So please watch for that link for the afternoon session. It will be up within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you for my mods. Everybody take a break for the next hour and 15 minutes, and we will be back. Okay? See you guys all then. Bye-bye for now.